Hey, let me read you a letter. It wasn't meant for anyone specific. No return address, no plea for mercy, just a document, a record. A glimpse into a mind that doesn't need fixing. He didn't ask for understanding. He didn't offer reasons. He just wrote, cold, focused, clean. And I'm going to read it to you. They keep asking what made me this way. Looking for a break in the timeline. Some moment where something snapped. But there wasn't one. I didn't snap. I didn't fall. I didn't suffer. I simply noticed that I wasn't like them. That what moved them didn't move me. That what silenced them didn't touch me. And I accepted it. I didn't try to change. I didn't fake sadness. I didn't chase rage. I just listened, watched, collected data. People live in noise. They speak without meaning. Touch without reason. Cry without thinking. I don't. I move through rooms like a camera on a rail. Smooth, straight, undistracted. I don't connect. I calculate. When someone smiles at me, I log the time of day. When they look away, I watch where their eyes land, not because I'm curious, because I want to see what they want to escape. You think emotions are truth. I think emotions are fog, thick, invasive, unreliable, but patterns tell you everything. How people stand, how they breathe, what they repeat, what they avoid, it's all there. And if you watch long enough, you know when something breaks. She was breaking, not loudly, not all at once. But I could see the fractures. Small changes, hesitations, drops in tone, shorter answers, longer stares. And I followed them, not to help, not to stop her, but to see how far the split would run. She talked about trust, said I was the only one who didn't make her feel watched. She didn't realize I was watching everything. Every blink, every step, every detail she thought she hid. She opened herself because I gave her nothing to fear, and fear is what keeps people from revealing what matters. She said I made her feel safe. That word stayed with me. Not because it meant something, but because it meant she would stop fighting. And when people stop fighting, you get to see what they really are. Quiet, soft, open. And that's when I act, not violently, not cruelly, just efficiently. She called it a betrayal. I called it a conclusion. The system failed. The signal faded. So I shut it down. She looked at me like she was searching for a face. But I don't have one. I just wear what fits the moment. She didn't scream. I always notice that first. They think they will. But they don't. Not at first. She froze. Not out of fear, out of confusion, like her brain hadn't caught up yet, like she was watching herself from outside. That moment is always the same, a delay, a pause, a silence between recognition and reaction. I stood still and waited. I don't need to rush, she said my name. Once, soft, flat, not pleading, just stating it. Like maybe it would trigger something human. It didn't. I was focused on her pupils, the dilation, the shift in breath, the subtle muscle tension along her jaw, data, response, pattern. That's all I see. That's all I track. I don't care what color her eyes were. I care how fast they flickered when I stepped closer. I don't care what she wore. I care how her spine adjusted when the air changed. Everything meant something, and everything moved. Except me. I don't move fast. I move on purpose. When she stepped back, it wasn't fear. It was hope. Like she thought maybe I would explain. Maybe I would show some sign of hesitation. I didn't. I watched, measured, and closed the distance. She didn't run. They rarely do. To shocked. To frozen. That's the part no one talks about. The stillness. You expect chaos. But it's usually quiet. Like a stage with no sound. She reached out, not to stop me, just to find something solid. A chair, a table, anything real. But real had already shifted. Reality doesn't belong to the loudest person in the room. It belongs to the one who defines the moment. And that was me. I spoke, calm, direct, not cruel, not soft, just final. I told her it would be quick. It wasn't a lie. It wasn't comfort. It was a fact. She blinked twice, then once more, and then she stopped blinking. The body always lets go before the mind. Breathing shifts, shoulders drop, vision locks. The mind is slower, still looking for options that don't exist, still cycling through hope. But hope is irrelevant. It's not part of the system. It's just noise, and I remove noise. That's what I do, not for pleasure, not for pain, for precision, for control, for quiet. She was quiet. Now, still, folded, no longer reacting, no longer existing in the way people recognize. Just form, weight, shape. I sat with her. Not in grief, not in pride, just presence. The moment had passed, the pattern had played out, and the silence was complete. That's how I knew it was dawn if next one was different. Not because she acted differently, but because I knew what to expect. I adjusted, measured better, removed uncertainty. The process matters. That's something no one understands. They think it's about chaos, about the thrill, but I don't chase chaos. I build sequence, systems, predictable results. That's why I remember everything. Not faces, not names, but patterns. She moved, faster, asked more questions. Her fear came early, that told me something. She had been afraid before. Fear wasn't new to her. It didn't paralyze her. It prepared her. I had to shift pace, remove options faster. She didn't scream either. She ran, but only once, and only for 5 steps. I didn't chase, I let her stop. Let her burn through hope early, that's more efficient. When she turned around, she already knew. Her hands dropped, her shoulders gave in. She looked at me like she wasn't surprised. Like she had always known it would end this way. That kind of clarity is rare. It makes everything smoother. She asked me one thing. Why? That word again. Always that word. I never answer. Not because I'm hiding anything. Because the answer is too simple, and people hate simple. They want broken bones behind the smile, screams in the attic, fire in my past. But there's nothing, just the now, just the process. I act because it fits, because the equation balances. Not because something hurts. Nothing hurts. She didn't cry, but her breathing broke. That's how I knew she wasn't pretending. It was real, controlled, then unraveling. I listened too, it carefully, matched it against the last one. Compared cadence, timing, collapse. I learned with each one, not to feel, to refine. This is not cruelty, this is calibration. Some people call that worse. They say it makes me colder, less human. But I've never claimed to be human. I claim to be precise, clean, focused. After it was done, I cleaned. Again, every detail. I don't do it out of fear. I do it because it belongs to the act. You don't leave a space in disorder if you respect what happened inside it. I put everything back where it was. I wiped every surface. I left no stain. Not because I'm hiding. Because there shouldn't be anything left. Not for them. Not for me. The only thing I keep is memory, not emotional. Just data. Weight, temperature, time, pressure, results. The variables were stable. The pattern held. That gave me clarity. It told me I could continue. That the system I was building worked. That I was still in control. And that's all I've ever needed. Not approval, not release, just control. Because control is the only thing that ever felt real. They always ask if I plan to stop, if I'll ever be done. I don't know how to answer that, not because I'm unsure, but because the question doesn't apply. This isn't a need, it's not hunger, it's not a compulsion, it's not even satisfaction, it's architecture. Each one a structure, built, measured, recorded, then gone. You don't ask a builder if he plans to stop. He stops when there's nothing left to build, and I'm not done. Because I'm still learning, still refining, still watching how people fold when the pattern shifts. Still observing how silence takes shape after breath is gone. That silence is what matters. The before and after. The shape of the moment when something becomes nothing. You can't fake that. You can't recreate it. You can only witness it. And I want to witness it as many ways as I can. Not for thrill, for clarity, for symmetry. The more I study it, the more I understand where the mask begins and where it ends. Because I wear one too. We all do, mind you, just fits better. It doesn't slip. It doesn't crack. It doesn't ask questions. It watches, and it moves when the pattern aligns. When the steps complete, when the silence settles. That's when I know I've done it right. You call it killing. I call it resolving the equation. You call it evil. I call it alignment, and maybe we're both right. Because in the end, none of it changes what happened. None of it brings them back. None of it rewrites what I did. And I don't want it to. I don't write this to be forgiven. I write it so you understand. So, when you look in the mirror and feel nothing, you know it's not just you. Some of us were built for silence. For structure. For endings. Not beginnings. You may never meet someone like me, but someone will. And when they do, it won't feel like horror. It will feel like stillness. It will feel like the world narrowing into a single breath. A final pause, and then nothing, and maybe they'll remember this letter. Maybe they'll remember my words. Or maybe they won't. Maybe they'll vanish like the rest, folded into absence, clean, silent, untraceable. That's how it's supposed to be. I don't leave marks. I don't leave sounds. I just finish things. And now this is finished too. That's the end of the letter. If you're still here, listening, maybe you see the pattern now. Maybe you recognize the silence between the words. Maybe that's why you stayed. If you want to hear more stories like this one, don't forget to subscribe. There's more waiting below the surface. And silence never sleeps.